Dr. Heilige Mishnah on Daf Ein Chesam Beis. Well, today's actually the yahrzeit of a very interesting person. Today's the yahrzeit. There's a famous story that our Rebbe would always tell us in Cheder, and it was a story of a Yid who was a very ehrlich Yid. And the story the Yid who the story was said about was a Yid by the name of Avram. Oh, yeah, Rabbi Avram ben Rifol Land of Chechnov. He was a big Rebbe, and his father was Rabbi Rifol Dobshinsky. Rifol Dobshinsky was an innkeeper, and naturally he had a lot of chametz. He had a lot of booze. And what happened was 1 year before Pesach, there was always a time where the priests would rile up the goyim in hatred against Eden, and he spoke against Eden, and because of that, this kerchma owner was unable to find anybody who would be willing to buy his chametz. The goyim refused to buy his chametz to help out the Jews. So as an ehrlich Yid, what did he do? He was mafkir with his whole heart. He was mafkir his entire business. Now that should have devastated him. It should have devastated him. What happened was on the Erev Pesach, 2 huge dogs came out of nowhere and parked themselves in front of the inn, and anybody who tried to get near it would chase them away. And these dogs were there until after Pesach, and then this Yid was an Erlich Yid, so he asked the Rav, like, can I go back to my inn and take it over? I was mafkir. So the Rav said, 100%, you were mafkir b'leiv shalom. You could. Nevertheless, he went in and he spilled out all of his whiskey. He spilled everything out. He felt he couldn't have enough of it. His wife went screaming to the Rav, like, how? My husband's literally destroying our parnasa with his hands. So the Rav says, don't worry, you're going to have a son who's going to light up the gullus. In fact, they had the son that became a big tzaddik. But I remember all the years that my Rebbe would say this story with the person who couldn't find anybody to buy his chametz. Okay, so the Mishnah.
Had a son but would have had to live in
the meantime. Someone swung and he wanted to kill a behemoth. The harag es adam, and he killed a person. Could be it was the same thing. No, but he swung on the behemoth and the person showed up in the way, and then the person ended up getting killed. Or he swung loivit kachavim the harag es Yisrael. Or he swung the Nephilim are babies that cannot survive. The harag es ben kayam, and he killed somebody who lived. So the halacha is potter, because clearly he was not nischaven laharig, and the halacha is that nischaven laharig. If it's nischaven laharig, if he killed with kavana, he was planned. It was first degree murder, and then he'd be chayav misa. But if that was not his intention, then he won't be chayav. What about another case? Nischaven lakosa almos. He planned to give a blow on the guy's legs, right, the guy's hips, let's say, right? And in order to kill somebody there, that's not such a delicate place, you have to hit very hard. And he didn't hit the person hard enough that in the loins it would kill him. So he didn't hit him hard enough. So his intent was clearly to do a makkah that was not going to kill. So now we learned another clue. Clue number 1, thank you very much, Mati, is not only do you have to have kavanah to kill the person that you're killing, the act that you're doing has to have the power to do it. And what happened is he missed the halcha law al liboy. And what happened is it hit his heart. That's a much more delicate place with a much softer blow can kill. And at that point, it did kill him. Umeis putter. Why? Because his kavanah was to do a blow, and his blow, in fact, was a blow that was not going to kill. It happened to be, without his kavanah, the blow hit somewhere else and killed. So, you have to have kavanah to kill, and the blow that you give has to be a blow that's capable of killing. What about Nischaven Lakosha Aliga? His intention was to hit him in the chest, where a smaller, softer blow would kill. And in fact, there was enough. force to kill him had he hit his target. But the whole chala almost, but he missed and he hit him in his leg. And there, his blow would not normally have been enough to kill that person. Almost not, but umeis. But the person died anyway. So there must have been some other physical condition he had, because a normal person would not have died with a blow of that force in that area. Then he will be potter. Now let's look at Rashi, because this is a very controversial Rashi. This rock, imtaka alei, if it would hit the target, it would have killed. But it didn't have enough force to kill if it hit in the hips. It would be potter. Why is it Rashi? Because you need two factors. The tarti ba'inu. One is sheyehei mischaven lemakas misa. You have to have kavana to inflict a blow that will kill, and v'sheyekena makmas misa. And his action has to be the type of action that could kill. And you don't have one of them here. But here Rashi sticks in something that a lot of Rishonim argue with him. The loynis chaven lemakas misa. If he did not have kavanah to a makas misa, even though it ended up being a makas misa, hasra sofek, it would be hasra sofek, because when they're warning him, if you take this blow, if you hit him here, you might miss the masnaim, you might hit the lave, and then you'll kill him. So it would be hasra sofek the hisru boy al tizrak the shemetela chaliba. That would have been the warning. Don't hit him even on the masnaim, because you might miss and you might hit him on his lave, and there it would kill him. So it's a straw sofek. And the Tiferes Yisrael asks Akasha on Rashi, and he says that we pass on Asura Sofik Shema Asura. Yes, there's a machlokes, but we pass on Shema Asura. So how are you going to fan for the Mishnah based on that pshat? And the Yad Ramah doesn't like Rashi's pshat anyway, because if you look at the Mishnah, it's much from the Mishnah. The reason why there's not a chiyuv is because there was a deficiency in what he did, as Rashi said earlier. It wasn't a makkah that was capable of killing. So it's much that there was more of a structural problem, not a side issue of Asura Sofik. The Tiferes Yisrael there's a very, very long Tiferes Yisrael on this Mishnah, because he actually lists 6 categories of Asura Sofik, and he says that we paskin Asura Sofik Shema Asura, that's only in some of the categories, but in this particular category, everybody would agree Asura Sofik Lav Shema Asura, and that's how he found for the Rashi. Gezok to Gemara weiter. Zok to Gemara weiter. Zok to Mishnah weiter. The Schaben lahakis es hagodol. He planned to hit an adult. But the force of his blow did not have enough strength to have killed the gadol. And he hit a cotton by mistake. And his blow did have the strength to kill a cotton. Umeis, and the child dies. Potter, it will be potter. The schaven lahaklis is a cotton. What are you applying to kill the cotton? And the blow was that type of blow. But by mistake he hit the gadol. But there wasn't enough force in his blow to have killed a full-grown adult. Umeis, and the person died anyway. But if the intent was to hit him on his hips, and there was enough force to kill him there, and it hit his heart, umeis, chayiv, then he'll be chayiv, because he had intent to kill, and his blow had the power to kill based on his intent. The fact that he hit the heart doesn't change anything. Now, what about nischaven la'akoshis hagadol? V'hayibah kedei lahamis hagadol. V'holchala ala cotton, and it hit the cotton, umeis, and the cotton died. So the halach is it's chayiv. So this was literally nischaven lahakosh eseh v'hika eseh. So the Tanakama holds it's chayiv. Reb Shimon Omer afilu nischaven laharoig eseh v'harag eseh potter. Even if he was trying to kill Reuben and he killed Shimon, he's potter. Now, right off the bat, this is a little bit difficult to understand. Because we know that that's the case, right? Doesn't it say that's the case? Nischav and Lakas is a gadol. Is a gadol. That's mamish the case of Nischav and Hargazah.
They're not equal.
I understand, but it's still a case of Nischav and Hargazah.
Hard as this, and you take two adults.
That would be kosher, and you should be chayiv there, right? So what does Reb Shimon say? Afil Nischav and Hargazah potter. Why did Reb Shimon just say potter? He just said potter. Why does he have to go with his whole Torah? That's going to be the Gemara's first question. Zok Gemara Reb Shimon Ahaya. On what halacha was Reb Shimon commenting when he said Nischav and Hargazah is potter? Immediately preceding his words. You know what Reb Shimon should have said? Reb Shimon pointed me boiling. All he had to say was potter. The case where you said Nischav and Hargazah is potter is chayiv. I say it's potter, and therefore El Aresha were forced to say that Reb Shimon was commenting on the Reisha. What does it say in the Reisha of our Mishnah? Nischav and Hargazah is a behema, Hargazah Adam. Lo'ovid kachavim, Harg es Yisrael, or l'nefeilim, Hargaz ben Kayama. In those cases, it would be potter. So you could be medayik from the Mishnah. How Nischav and Hargazah would be chayiv. You have a raya that Stamach was two people, and they both were the same, and you were mechaven to kill Reuben, and you killed Shimon. That would be a chiyuv misa. And there, Reb Shimon says, "Afilu nischavin l'hargazeh potter." There he says, even if you were mechaven l'hargazeh, meaning they're both people you would have been chayiv for, you're also potter in that case. And that's what Reb Shimon was referring to. Zok Gemara. Now we're going to analyze Reb Shimon. Pshitot's pashit. Koiru uvein v'Shimon. Reuben and Shimon are standing there, the two potential victims. The Omar and the murderer says, "Ana l'Reuven kamachavna." I want to kill Reuben. L'Shimon loy kamachavna. I don't want to kill Shimon. And I swung on Reuven and I hit Shimon. That's the flagship case of Nischav and Hargazah. Hanu plutayu. That's where Reb Shimon says he's potter, and the Tanakama says he's chayiv. But what would happen if he says lachad minayu? There's two people there, Reuben and Shimon. And he didn't say, I want to kill Reuben or I want to kill Shimon. I just want to kill one of these two people. Would that also be muchuyev because of she explains? Rashi explains. I don't care who I kill. One of them I'm killing. L'Rab Shimon, is it mikrilei mischaven loy u'mechayev? Do you say that whoever he ended up killing, we consider that he killed who he had kavanah to kill because he said, I want to kill one of them? Or Dilma, maybe Reb Shimon holds, given the Azla Idich, the Shavkele Lahai, have a Nami, since he wasn't Bedavka wanting to kill the person that he killed. For all he cares, it could have been the other guy. Maybe Lav Mischavadu. Maybe that's not called proper Mechal. And even Reb Shimon would be Moida that one second, even the Chacham would be Moida that it's Potter. Okay. So will Reb Shimon consider that chayiv or is it potter? Oh, so no, maybe the tzad is maybe Reb Shimon holds that this is not nischav l'hargazah. Maybe it's good enough of a kavanah that he wanted to kill one of these two. Inami, or another similar case, Kasava Ruvain. He aimed to Ruvain because he wanted to kill Ruvain, and after he killed him, he realized that he got the wrong man, the nimtzashim. What would be the halacha? Zokt Rashi, what was that case? Inami. He aimed for this body. He just thought that this body was Reuven. It turned out it was Shimon. So he was mechaven to the right person. Aval Kosover who show Reuven with him to Shimon. Do you say Kivan the Lahai Guf is Chaven? Since Lamaisi he wanted to kill this Guf, Mischaven Huloy, and even Reb Shimon with the Modia that it's Chayiv. I don't know Kivan the Lahai Gavra Lo Yichvin. The person, the identity of the person is not the person that he wanted to kill. Potter Reb Shimon would hold. We can clarify this very simply. The Tanya of Shneimar, will be somebody. It says, "Leploini amin ani mischaven." I have to have kavana to kill a specific person, not this body, but this specific person. As Rashi says, "Oisoi ploni harik," and he ended up killing the person who he identified as the intended victim. If he just says, "I want to kill one of you two," he didn't identify him perfectly. If he said Reuben ani mechaven, then he identified a person. V'chein kesava Reuben v'nimtza Shimon, or if he thought this person was Reuben and it really was Shimon, again, loy zehu ploni shenischaven loy. That's not the person who he had kabbalah. So in all these cases, the Gemara is being pointed that Reb Shimon would hold that it would be part. My time of Reb Shimon. Where did Reb Shimon get this? He had full intent to murder a Yid, so he murdered another Yid. Why does Reb Shimon say you're potter? The Torah says it says va'arav loy v'kam alov. It could have just said, as Rashi says, ki yish soini l're'ehu v'kam alov, and then he killed him. Why va'arav loy? Va'arav loy means it has to be very specifically targeted. Achi schaven loy. The Rabbanon who hold that it doesn't have to be that way, Rabbanon hold Neschaven Argazeh Argazeh Chayiv. What's their svar? Amri Devei Rabbi Prat Lezorik Even Lagav. You know what this pasuk is saying? Yes, you do need to have some specificity, but not to the degree that Reb Shimon requires. What would not be chayiv? If there was a whole bunch of people standing in a group and you threw a rock there, knowing it would surely kill somebody, yet you don't know who it's going to kill. That's what the Torah says will not be mechayiv. As Rashi says, "Osoi chabura shel bnei adam, kusim v'Yisraelim." Some of them you'll be chayiv and some of them not. If they're all Yidden, so then it's no different than the Neschaven Argazeh Argazeh. But here there are some people who, if they would be killed, the perpetrator would not be chayiv. Avol Neschaven L'Yisrael Zeh Argaz Chaveiroi, that also Kalamuti, that according to the Rabbanon, the Torah is not excluding from the chiv of visa for a ritzeh. So hechadam, what exactly would be a case that I would need the pasuk to tell me that you're potter, because otherwise I would think that you were chayav. Ilema de ikotisha kusim, the echad Yisrael beineim. If it's in a case where there were 9 goyim and 1 yid, I don't need a pasuk to tell me that in that case you're potter if you throw the rock. Typically, the ruba kutimin. Roiv of them are goyim. So you go bust a roiv. And inami palga, even if it was 50-50, we know the halacha is sofek nefashos lahakel. Sofek nefashos lahakel means the Torah says the shavtu eda betzila eda. Whenever it's a sofek, we automatically say that it's potter, right? And the Lamdonim talk about this. That this doesn't mean that he would be potter misofek. So it doesn't mean it's a sofek if he's chayiv nis or not. Therefore, we can't kill him. It means that the baal it's a matzav of sofek. Because we know b'shavtu eda b'tzila eda, a matzav of sofek, we paskin positively that he's potter. L'may nafkamina, if there would be a kamalei b'derabim b'nei over here, he is so potter that if he damaged the moment, he would be chayiv. So where is there a case where we would think that he's chayiv and they need the Torah to tell me that he's not? L'tzricha dikatisha Yisrael. There's 9 Yidden there. The kusi echad b'neihem, and there's only 1 guy amongst them. So it's Roiv Yisrael. But so if it's Roiv Yisrael, so why is it that he's potter? The teretz is davalakuti kavua. We know there's a halacha that if you have 10 stores, 9 of them sell basar shechuta, and 1 of them sell basar nevela, and you went into one of those stores and purchased the meat, and you don't remember which store you bought the meat from, you didn't have a label, right? Then the halacha is you don't say you go basar roiv. Because kavua, if you went to the place where their iser is, it's always treated like a 50-50. If you find a piece of meat on the floor in the parking lot of a plaza that had 9 ksherim and 1 treif, so that this meat was parish, it left its origins, you say likely meruba parish, it left from a kosher store. But kavua is kamech. If the rock goes to the people, you didn't take one person. If one person left the crowd and then you threw a rock at him, there you would follow right. But everyone's in their original place where the suffix is. Therefore, but kol kavua kamech tzal mechzadam. Now, where do you know this rule of kol kavua mechzal mechzadami? So Rashi, this would be the makar. The Baal the Torah says va'arav loy, the Torah must be referring to a case where there were 9 Yisraelim and 1 kusi. And because of that 1 kusi, you're potter because it has a din of mechza mechza, and therefore the person is potter. So Rashi says this is the makar l'chol hatar b'chol hatar kula that kol kavua k'mechza mechza. Zok Gemara bishlam alarbon. So let me ask you a question. Let's say you had this that was, for instance, a person has a flock of sheep, A Za'ev pounced on one of the sheep. The halacha is once a Za'ev pounces on one of the sheep, even though if the sheep is still alive, we say it's considered a treif. So now you have 1,000 sheep in your flock. One of them is a treif. There's a rule called kavua kemech. Does that mean now your entire flock is going to be usher? And this was a shiloh that was very relevant in the Middle Ages, right? You had a flock of sheep, and a Za'ev came and jumped on one. Lavan would have made Yaakov pay for the whole bunch, right? What do you do? So we're gonna get to that shiloh a little bit later. The question is, could you engineer it so that the kavua should separate into a parish, and then you will be able to rely on the Rav. So we'll see soon. We should always go for simchas. Okay, Bishlama l'Rabbanon, the Amri Nischaven l'Harg Esev Harg Esech Chayiv. It would make sense the following pasuk. The Chsivit says, "V'chi yinatzu anoshim." We have the story where two people were fighting, and one swung. Reuben swung for Shimon, and instead he hit a pregnant mother. So the v'nakfa ishahara, and the lady survived, and the children did. V'yomer Rabbi Elazar, b'mitzvah shebemisa hakosef v'daber. We're speaking about someone that could have been chayiv misa, because he was actually mechaven lahagetz chavera. So the two people who were fighting, A took a swing against B. A was planning to kill B. There was a potential of a chayiv misa here. Dichsiv im osan yiyeh v'nosata nefesh tachas nefesh. If there's an osan, it's nefesh tachas nefesh, meaning had he killed a woman, right? It says had he killed a woman, it would be nefesh tachas nefesh. But if you think about it, what do you mean that he killed the woman with nefesh tachas nefesh? He never intended to kill the woman. He wanted to kill the person he was fighting with. A wanted to kill B. Yet the Torah says, if by mistake he punched a woman and the woman died, he would be chayiv misa. Isn't that exactly a case of nischaven l'har gezeh? El Rab Shimon, who holds nischaven l'har gezeh as potter, ha'ив nisata nefesh tachas nefesh ma'ovetlei. How is he going to learn pshat in that? Right? The pasuk says, "V'chi yinachu anoshim v'nakfu ishahara v'yatzu liyadeh v'lo yiyeh osrein." If the woman doesn't die, then anosh anosh. But the problem is, they'll come with rabbim. Why? Because they would be chayiv misa. The perpetrator would be chayiv misa. That works great according to Rabbanan. It was nischaven l'har. But according to Rabbi Shimon, why would there ever be an anosh yonish? Why would you ever kill him? At most, it's nischaven l'har. Zok Gemara, you're right. Nefesh tachas nefesh. You know what it means? Even if she was killed, even if the woman was killed, it wouldn't be considered ritzicha. And the nefesh tachas nefesh doesn't mean that the perpetrator is chayiv misa. You know what it means? My avod moment. It just means nefesh tachas nefesh means he would have to pay the husband for the value of his wife that he killed. Uchad Rebbe, like Rebbe taught us. The Tanya Rebbe Omer v'nesata nefesh tachas nefesh. It means mammon. At Omer mammon. You're saying it means mammon. Maybe it means that if he kills this woman, he actually is chayiv misa for killing the woman. Nemer nisina lamata, and nemer l'sina lamata. It says in the pasuk, nisina lamayla and nisina lamata. And Rashi says, nisina lamayla, it says, lo yeh asain v'nasan beflilim, meaning that the demei v'lodas have to be paid for. Ma lahalad mammon, just like when it says v'nasam b'flilim, it means you're paying money for the value of the v'lodas. So too, when it says v'nasata nefesh tachas nefesh, it means mammon, and there's no tzad to kill him because it was a case of nischaven l'har gezeh. So let's look at this closely now, because now we have a clear machloikis, and we have two ways to view what happened over here. A was winding up to kill B. By mistake, he punched a woman and he killed the woman. According to the Chachomim, he's chayiv misa, and therefore potter from woman because of kam le b'derabim. And according to Rab Shimon, he's potter from misa and he's chayiv mammon. He has to pay for the value of the mother and the value of the children. So it's a two-way machlokes. Zok Rava, in fact, it's a three-way machlokes, because we so far said he either gets killed or he has to pay for the woman's value and the brother's value. We're going to have a third shita who holds say you don't get killed and say you don't pay for anything. So Amar Rava, hi, the Tana de Bechizkiya, Mafka midirab Rebbe umafka midirabanan. I'm going to quote a brisa that was said to Bevei Chizkiah, and you'll see it's not consistent with Rebbe, and it's not consistent with the Rabbanan. The Tanan we learned the Bechizkiah, Maka Adam uMaka Behema. The pasuk speaks about Maka Adam and Maka Behema. The pasuk says both in the same pasuk, right? It says Umaka Behema Yishalmena Umaka Adam Yumas. So the Torah makes sort of a hekesh between Maka Adam and Maka Behema, and therefore we learn the following: Ma Maka Behema, just like by Maka Behema. No matter how you damage someone's animal, you never make any chalukim to pater the poitry moment. To say in this case he would be pater. There's no exceptions. Every single case, no matter how it occurred, will always be chayv. So to af maka adam. So to when you kill a person, where you say kamei b'derabimnei, and he's parted from any associated financial claim, no matter what, he'll be parted. No matter whether or not there's going to be an actual chiv misa, it doesn't matter. You will still say kamlei, and you will say that he's parted from any moment. So one of the examples was bein mischaven l'she'ein mischaven. It will always be potter for moment. What does it mean l'mischaven v'she'ein mischaven? My she'ein mischaven. What does that mean? Ilay m'she'ein mischaven klal. If it's speaking where someone didn't have kavanah to kill at all, hanyu shoyge. That shoyge. El pshita that she'ein mischaven lozeh el lozeh. What the brisa means that by maka adam the Torah does not make a distinction, even if he was planning to kill Reuben and he killed Shimon. Vikatani, and what does the Bride say? L'chayv mammon el l'poiter mammon. In either case, he will be potter from pain. So Zok to Gemara, v'ibar katalahu. If we're speaking about a guy who's chayiv misa, if you can hold nischav l'hargazeh, v'hargazeh is chayiv misa. My itzrich l'mifter mammon. Why do I need to potter him from mammon? Why don't you need a pasuk to tell me that he's potter? Why don't you need this hekesh from makadum to makabehema to say you're potter from mammon? You have kamei b'drabimnei. Elalav, it must be a case where you're not chayiv misa, because you hold this chav and argazev as potter, and shmamina la barkatalahu, la bar mamanahu. Rab Shimon held in this case, this chav and argazev, you would be mechuyev to pay the mammon, the mevlados and the domam of the woman. But you see from the Chizkiah that you don't pay anything at all. So that's our third shita, that this chav and argazev. There's no chiv misa and there's no chiv mammon either. Why? Because you know it from the hekesh of maka adam to maka beim. No. The Vei Chizkiah would argue it. So the Gemara ended up saying that Shimon and the Rabbanan is really the machlokes Rebbe and the Rabbanan in how to understand the pasuk of nosat nefesh tachas nefesh. Correct. You're potter for misa, but you're chayiv mammon. You're saying Tana Chizkiah could be learning a different shot in Reb Shimon. Okay, no, that makes sense, because it's only Rebbe and the Rabbanan said beferish you're either chayiv mammon or chayiv misa. Reb Shimon just had a separate halacha than chayiv and hargazeh. So applied here, yeah, you could say he would also agree with Chizkiah. That's what the Arshel says. No, but it makes sense. Yeah. You have a Ritzeach that got mixed in with others, and the Gemara is going to ponder: is it with other people who are non-Reitzchim? Is it with other people who are Reitzchim? But whatever the case is, Kudan Paturin, now you cannot kill any of them. So Reuben Magul is asked, how does a Ritzeach get mixed in with other people? Isn't the rule, if you have a Bezdin that paskined on 10 people one day, so they locked them all up, they can get mixed up. But we know Bezdin could only paskin on one Chiv Misa per day. And we know that they went straight from the Psak Din to kill him. You can't do Inu Adin. So how would they get mixed up? So Reuben says it must be that there were multiple Batei Dinim that used the same prison service. They had a common prison execution service that they used. Because otherwise you would never have two Reitzchim in the same place at the same time. Rabbi Yehuda, you know what you do with them all? Koitzin oisan lekipa. You put them all into a pen and you lock them up. And Rashi says that leads to death, because v'sham machilon oisam sa'orim, they feed them barley, which blows up their intestines, until their bellies burst. And we will see in the Gemara later, which is going to be very schwer, because how can you kill everybody? What if you had someone who's chayiv skila and someone who's chayiv shreifa? They got mixed in. Now we don't know what to give them. We know they're both chayiv misa, but we don't know if this person is deserving of skila or if this person is deserving of shreifa. So the loch is nidonim bekala. But the problem is between skila and shreifa, there's a machlokes which one is the lesser misa. So therefore, haniskolin b'nisrafin. If people who are chayiv skila got mixed in to people who are chayiv shreifa, and we're going to be medayik, it's mashma from here that there were more people that were chayiv shreifa. A couple of the skila got mixed into a group of people who were chayiv shreifa. So if the skila was the miyut and the nisrafim were the roif, Rab Shimon Omer nidonim b'skila. Even though the skolim of the miyut, you get skila anyway. Why? Because according to Rab Shimon, says shreifa chamura. You can't give somebody a more chomer de kamisa than he was sentenced to. In this case, it would be nidoin b'shreifa because shaskila chamura. Amalan Rab Shimon. So Rab Shimon argued his point. I'll prove to you that shreifa is more chomer. Because ilulai haisa shreifa chamura, if shreifa wasn't so severe, the fact that the Torah wanted to give a particularly harsh sentence to Baskoin, who's Machaler family, shouldn't that show that this must be the most severe Misa? We had all these Savaris when we were discussing the Arba Mises Bezdin. Amrulai, Chachamim responded, surely if Skila wasn't the most chomer, that wouldn't be the sentence for Megadef and the Chum, which is Kaifer Baker. So that's the worst. That's the worst. And that was actually the Machlekes from Shin Rabban. We learned all the way at the beginning of the program that discussed the Aramises. Hanaragin b'nechnokin. And what about if there were people who were chayiv her that got mixed into people who were chayiv chemek? Exactly the same child as before. Rabbi Shimon Omer b'sayif. Rabbi Shimon knows they get killed b'sayif. And Chachamim Omer b'chemek. Again, because Rabbi Shimon knows Saif is the less severe, and the Chachamim hold Chenek is the less severe. This group of people that this talking about, well, then Pshita, of course, you can't kill them all. Of course, they're all potter. Frag the Gemara, and more than that, Visu, if it's speaking that he was mixed in with innocent people, Rabbi Yehuda argued on the Tanakama, and Rabbi Yehuda said, and you kill them all. I mean, you're going to actually potentially lead a whole group of innocent people to their death because one Retzeach is mixed into them. That doesn't make sense. So it can't be that the Acherim discussed in the Mishnah that the Retzeach got mixed up in were innocent people. Simin b'shirak. Amar Bavo, Amar Shmuel, Hacha, now's the base, b'Retzeach, Shaloi Nigmar Dinoi, Shenisar b'Retzeach Acherim, Shenigmar Dinoi Naskino. We had a Retzeach. They listened to the testimony and they approved the testimony. The only thing they didn't have a chance to do yet is to seal the deal. Right? We know that they leave it overnight till they seal the deal. Right? Even though they know this guy is guilty of sin, they wait overnight to seal the deal. So this guy got mixed in with other people whose deal had already been sealed. But Lamaisa, he didn't have a Gemar Din. If he didn't have a Gemar Din, then you can't kill him. So the halacha is Rabban and Savri ein goymin dini shalodem ela b'fanav. The Gemar Din has to be in front of him, and he has to be identified who he is. So you can't take all of these people and do the Gemar Din because Bezdin doesn't know specifically who they're condemning when they're condemning. And therefore, he's potter. If he's potter, you can't kill the whole group because there's one person who's not chayiv misa there. Therefore, Hilchach Klulan Petur. But Rabbi Yehuda, Miftarin Lagamri Namiloi. How could we possibly let a whole group of murderers walk free? Even the right chininu. We know he is guilty. We just couldn't make the Gemar Din to be mechayiv him with herek, but we can't let him free. So what could we do? And we don't actively kill them; we passively kill. That's the first shot in the Mishnah that it's speaking about a human got mixed in with a human who was not nigmar dinoi, who cannot give him herek, was mixed in with a bunch of people who it was nigmar dinoi. Rish Lakish Amar, Now, this halacha, when someone's chayiv misa and you can't be mechayiv misa, you put him into the kippah. Most Rishonim learn that this doesn't apply to anyone who's chayiv misa. It only applies to a retzeach.
You might be killing someone that didn't have an origin. You definitely can't kill him.
That's right. But he's a retzeach. We know he's a retzeach, so we want him dead anyway. We just can't give him the chayiv misa best.
There's no blind in, there's no change.
Well, yes, he is, because the day before they heard all the testimony, and they know he's guilty, but they just have to wait overnight to condemn him. So we know he's guilty, although there was no Gemar Din. So technically, he's not a Ritzach, but Lamaitza, the guy's a murderer. Now, this is only done by Ritzach because a Ritzach is the worst type of person because he destroys society. He's killing people. Rishlakish Amar, Rishlakish says, Ba'adam, if we're talking about people getting mixed into each other, the Chula Amal Pligi. Of course they're potter, because he's not Chayiv Misa. And how could you be Chayiv Amal Misa? As Rashi says, which is really what Moti was saying, the Petiri Hayel Vikachad Aloy Dik Mardinai, the Mardinai, Ein Loch Raya Lischus Gedoyle Mizu. There's no greater raya to schus, right? We say that you find the schus, he walks. There's no greater raya to schus than the fact that Hashem made it that they couldn't be Gomer Din, right? That's like an opinion popping up that exonerated him. But what more could you ask for? So how could you possibly kill that person, and therefore how could you kill everybody else? So therefore, but Adam they all walk. We're not talking about a human retzeach that got mixed in with others. We're talking about a behema retzeach. A shor that would have been a shor in this call because it killed somebody, but they didn't do a gemar din yet. And we know the shor you have to treat just like a human, right? It says so you go through the same process. That it got mixed into a pen with other oxen that already had a gemar din. That's where there's a machlokes that Tanakama holds that they all walk free, and Rabbi Huda holds you kill them all. Rabban Sarvi kemises by them kach mises asur. The ain goyim din shel shor ela b'vanav. The same way we would treat a human in this situation, that's how we treat the behemoth, because that's what the Torah says. Hilchach kulan puturin. Therefore, they would all be potter. Rabbi Huda Savar konchin oishal akipa. You kill them all, but you kill them all passively. Zok to Gemara, Amarava, Zok to Rava, Ihachi. If you're going to learn pshat that we have somebody who was clearly at one point identified as a murderer, and then he got mixed in. If that's the case, then we have a problem, because Rabbi Yosy said a comment on our Mishnah that doesn't make any sense the way Cyrus Shlokish is learning and the way Shmuel's is learning. Because Rabbi Yosy said, "Afilu Abba Chalafta b'neihem." Even if Abba Chalafta is amongst them, and Abba Chalafta was a tzaddik mu'od, you know for sure he for sure didn't kill anybody. Even if he's amongst them, it's the same halacha. Now that doesn't make any sense at all, because what do you mean afilu, right? No one's killing anybody. So what would be the point of what Rabbi Yosy said if this is pshat in the Mishnah? El Amarava, I'm going to offer a third pshat in the Mishnah, and then it will make sense what Rabbi Yosy said. El Amarava hachikamer, shnaim sheyoimdim. When we're talking about a Ritzeicha mixed in with somebody else, we don't mean like Sai Shmuel and Sai Rish Lakish learned that there was somebody who was already condemned Lamisa, whether it was a human, whether it was a shor. No, we're talking about, we know one of these two people is a Ritzeiach, and we know the other one isn't. Because Shnaim Shoyu, two people were standing together, Adam saw that an arrow left from in between the two of them, and it killed. But we don't know who the murderer is. So there you say Shnaim to it. And on that, Rabbi Yosy said, "Afilu Abba Chalafta b'nem." Even if one of these two are Abba Chalafta, so of course he didn't shoot the arrow. It must be the other guy. Even there, Shnei Empetur. Okay, then there's a Chisura Mechsera on the Mishnah, and now we're adding words that it doesn't say in the Mishnah, but it's a Chisura Mechsera. V'shar shenigmar dinoi. Now, yet in this halacha, you can't say in this case that Rabbi Yehuda would hold that you take him l'kippah, right? You can't say Rabbi Yehuda will hold that you kill them both. You're going to kill Abba Chalafta, you know he didn't do it. So therefore, we have to add another case before the machlokes of the Rabban and Rabbi Yehuda, so we have a different case where they're arguing. If you have a shore that was nigmar dinoi, that was mixed in with other innocent oxen, you give them all skila. That's what the Tanakama says. And Rabbi Yehuda Omer, you don't actually kill them, rather you just let them die. You see, animals are going to be treated differently. That's right. So let's have a look at Rashi. We're talking about we never were able to identify a Ritzach. We don't know who was the one who shot the arrow. And we can't be machayev anybody. And that even if you know for sure one of the people could not possibly have done it, you don't be mechayev the other person because of a process of elimination. That everybody agrees. So where is there a machlokes? Rabbi Yehuda the Amar Kohen Shenoisen Lakipa. He's not speaking about that case. He's speaking about a different case, which is not mentioned in the Mishnah, that we have to stick in through a Chisurim Echsur. The second case in the Mishnah, which we're adding, is Vishor Shenik Mardinoi. The Chacham say you kill them all. Why? So you might ask, why would the Chacham kill them all? Right? I think you should all be potter. Right? Why would you kill them all? The teretz is the Akarcha Kulu Asiri Bahano. They're all Asur Bahano because they're all a Sofik Shor Nisko, right? And you don't say Bittel Baroiv when you're talking about a Dover Choshev like a full animal. So once there's one ox in this group that's Asur Bahano, they're all Asur Bahano. So nobody can use them anyway. The Ein Hefsid L'Bailam B'Skila. Bailam don't lose anything if you do Skila to these oxen. You know why? Because they're Asur Bahano anyway. So Hilchach Cyclonoisam, why? So Kadesh the sky mitzvah skila b'mechuyev. At least the one ox that's mechuyev skila, you could do the mitzvah. You're killing a whole bunch more oxen. By killing them, you're not hurting the bailam. The bailam already lost their oxen because they're asur b'ana. But Rabbi Yehuda says no. Why not? You're not going to be trich bezin to kill 20 oxen. There's only one ox that's mechuyev mitzvah bezin. Okay, gewaltig. So it's on this sugya that big shaila came up. Could you manipulate something to make it into kavua? So if we look at Tosfos, the bottom Tosfos over here, on number base, it's bishar shaloi nigmar dinai. That's what our Gemara Rish Lakish says. We're speaking about a shor shaloi nigmar dinai that got mixed in with shvarim acher. Zogt Tosfos, v'hashtel rabbanon kulam turin. Why? Mishum the ein goyim dinai shal shar el b'fanav. Right? That's how we understood Rish Lakish's pshat in the Mishnah. Frank the Rivam, the Hiksha Rabbi Yitzchak Bar Mordechai, the Perkat Ruvos, we learned Kol HaZavachim Shenis Arab Bahen Shara Niskal. Let's say there's a whole bunch of karbanis, and the Shara Niskal got mixed into them. I feel Echad Berivai, even if there's 10,000 kosher karbanis, and there's one Shara Niskal, Yumusu Kulam, they all get destroyed. The problem is, V'hashta Mahasam, the Ruba Dahatev. Over there's so many factors why you shouldn't destroy them all. First of all, there's a vast majority of animals that are mutter. And Upsedi the Kachim, you're losing so many karbonas. Still, Omar Yamusu Kulam, still there, the branches, they all get killed. Hacha, the Ruba de Isura, right of these auctions were condemned to death properly. Udahedjit, and what type of animals are we talking about? Regular chul animals. Loy Kolshgein, surely they should all be killed. Yet Rish Lakish holds that they're not killed. What's pshat? V'nirloi, therefore, Zoktoisvis, the Garcinon, Kamoisha Kosov, V'sefer Yoshanecha. We have a different girsa that we found in a very old text that it's speaking Bishor, Shaloi Nigmar Dinoi, Shenis Arab Bishvarim Acherim Ma'al Yaskinam. In our case, our ox didn't get mixed in to other oxen. It was Nigmar Dinoi. So you had a kasha, why did you kill them all? No, it's speaking where it got mixed up to other oxen that were regular oxen that are 100% kosher, and therefore we say that they all stay alive. The Heishav Rabbeinu Tam didn't like his pshat. Dikatani b'masnisan kulon paturin. It says in the Mishnah that they're all potter Mashma she'acherim b'nei chiyuva. If it says kulam paturim, it's mashma that they did something wrong, yet we're going to exonerate them. If it got mixed in with animals that never did anything wrong, what's the lesson of kulam paturim? The avagav the bereisha the shmaitza ka'amar ma'acherim ilay ma'acherim ksherim. Even though it's mashma that at the beginning we assumed that the other people or animals that got mixed into were ksherim, and now it's mashma that we're changing and we're saying it got mixed into other psulim. Right, the Gemara said Pshita, v'leparch keturin pater mibayle, and it doesn't ask this same kasha that Rabbeinu Tam just said that would prove that they all have to be guilty. Even the matzil mifach migufa like hashul medik. The Gemara didn't ask the kasha, but now it's a good kasha, and therefore, we're going to learn in Rish Lakish's pshat that the animals that it got mixed into were innocent animals. The oid Rish Lakish ad Rav Volkai, Rish Lakish was commenting on what Rav Vo just said. The Meshani Hacha Beretzech Shalanik Mardinoi Shenizar Bereitzchem Acher Maskinon. V'Allah Koi Rish Lakish, and that's what Rish Lakish was referring to. And he said, "Adam Kula Amaloi Pligi Diptiri Mashma de Bahu Inyana the Ukmar Bavo Adam Mukli Rish Lakish Bishar." It's mashma that under the same circumstances that Rabbi Vo stole the Ryan Adam, which is a Ritzeach that got mixed in with other Reitzchem Shalanik Mardinam, it's mashma that this got mixed in the other animals that were Lanik Mardinam but did kill, meaning he disagrees with what the Rivam said, that it's speaking in a case where they got mixed in with innocent animals. L'kach nir kagir says Svarim that it got mixed in with other animals who were mechuyev misa. Avol nasarav b'shvarim alya, and here's the main point. But if you had one animal that deserves to be killed that got mixed in with regular kosher animals, afilu b'nigmar dinai, even if this one animal is nigmar dinai. So you have an animal that they already passed and to get skila. It get mixed into a whole herd of animals. What's the halach with the whole herd? Where Shlaku should hold that move them around. You know why you should move them around? Because we hold a parish, meruba parish. But Shlaku should hold that if it got mixed in with regular good animals, in fact, they would all be put, and you would be able to use them all. Move them around so everybody should be considered parish. And that's a huge chiddush. And therefore, turning onto Amar Aleph, Zokter Be'u Tam, he built from here a massive chiddush. The second line from the top in Tosfos, umitamzeh hayu Omer Be'u Tam, the nir lahater drusas haza'ev beroy. If you had a huge flock of sheep and one of them was attacked by a zay, but it survived, and you don't know which one, that one is a treifa. So maybe since each animal is a dover choshev, it should answer the entire flock. And Zok Tosfos is a real situation. The ma'asim b'chol yoyim, the zayvim tar from semen eder. The roya matzal behema. It happens all the time that a zayv jumps on an animal, and then the roya comes quickly and chases the zayv away. But it's a regular occurrence. And if that was the case, they should all be osir. Nevertheless, visharinula, the rabbanim are matir all these sheep. Afagav the balachayim chashivi. Balachayim are choshev, they're not batal b'roy. V'chein b'roy vayfo is dorsin avazim v'tan goyim d'mutarin. The same thing with many birds get attacked. So at the end of the day, there's always in every flock of animals one animal that was probably a treifa. So how come it doesn't answer everything? It must be that if you mix it around, you will say that it will be considered parish. And this is a huge machlokes. You could see as Tosfos goes down to the bottom. There's a very big machlokes if in fact you could be matter that way. There's all discussion about it. And then there's also another discussion of, is a shara niskol before it's condemned to death, a shara niskol that was condemned to death. We're basing everything that we said on the fact that once a shara niskol is already condemned to death, so once it get mixed in with others, you can't use them anyway, so therefore you might as well kill them, right? That's what the Svar we said. Once it's mixed in, they're asur b'nos, you got to kill them anyway. But Tosfos has an argument to say that they're not asur b'nos. The shara niskol, till it's killed, it's not asur b'nos. So maybe it wouldn't answer the group. So that creates a whole shiloh with the